My final art project is about Andy Warhol. Before we get into looking at his artwork, we should know a little bit about him. Andy was born with the birth name of Andrew Warhol. He was born in a 2-room apartment in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His parents are Andre and Julia Warhol. They had 3 sons, Paul, John, and Andy. Andy was the youngest. In 1934, the Warhol family moved closer to their church, St. John Chrysostom Byzantine Catholic, where they regularly attended Mass. He created many known pieces throughout his lifetime that I will get into detail a little bit later. Eventually, he died on February 22, 1987, due to cardiac arrest. Here are some fun facts about Andy. As a child, he suffered from Sydenham chorea, a neurological disorder commonly known as St. Vitus dance, which is characterized by involuntary movements. This disorder typically kept him home from school and left him bedridden. In elementary, he attended Holmes School. In 1942, he went to Shenley High School. His mother gave him drawing lessons and could see the potential that he had. So with that, she saved up some money so that he could attend the Carnegie Institute of Technology. While attending the university, he excelled at what he did, and this eventually led him to become the leading figure in pop art. As his name was becoming more well-known, in 1968, Valerie Solanas shot and almost killed Warhol. After the shooting, Warhol had to wear a surgical corset for the rest of his life. Where and when Andy created his work. And so, with his great success at the Carnegie Institute of Technology and drawing lessons from his mother, Andy began painting in the late 1950s. In 1961, he debuted the concept of pop art that focused on mass-produced commercial goods. The 1960s as a whole was him devoting more energy to filmmaking. In 1964, Warhol opened his studio that became one of New York's hotspots, that hosted many lavish parties and was attended by the city's wealthiest celebrities. Today, his artwork is being displayed in the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Campbell's Soup Cans. This piece is used with synthetic polymer paint on 32 different canvases. In 1962, Warhol created Campbell's Soup Cans. I remember trying to recreate this piece when I was younger. The canvases were displayed together on shelves like products in a grocery aisle. Each one of these canvases corresponds to a different flavor. At the time, there were only 32 varieties sold in stores, which correlates to 32 different canvases. Each of these canvases were hand-painted, and the pattern ringing the can's bottom edge is hand-stamped. Shortly after this piece was completed, Warhol turned to photo silkscreen process. This would become his signature medium and link his art closely to advertisement. The Maryland Diptych. Andy Warhol made his first paintings of Marilyn Monroe shortly after the actress died of a drug overdose. The 2 contrasting canvases illustrates the contrast between the public life of the star and her private self. However, this was not Warhol's intention while creating this piece. This work is one of the artist's most noted of the movie star. This painting uses a medium of silkscreen ink and acrylic paint on 2 canvases and consists of 50 images. Each image is taken from the single publicity photograph from the film Niagara. Coca-Cola. He completed the painting in 1962 as a wider series on Coca-Cola paintings, which also included green Coca-Cola bottles. The painting and others in the series are considered founding paintings of the pop art movement. This painting is a 6-foot black and white painting of a Coca-Cola bottle from the era. Warhol had a unique perspective and interest on Coke bottles. He would state that a Coke is a Coke, and no amount of money can get you a better Coke, alluding to the idea of economic and political equality. He admired the uniformity of the items. The Brillo Box. In 1964, Andy Warhol created the Brillo Box. They are precise copies of the commercial packaging. While they fulfill the idea that art should imitate life, they also raise questions about how we identify and value something as art. The brand Brillo is soap pads with rust register. The medium is polyvinyl acetate and silkscreen on wood. The self-portrait. Comprising solely of a flat, vibrant, fiery red silkscreen image of Warhol, nearly 3 meters square, self-portrait is an imposing, haunting, and ultimately poignant work from Warhol's great last series of self-portraits made in 1986. One of what is believed to be only 5 versions: green, blue, purple, yellow, and red, made on this monumental scale. This vast but simple, even in some ways minimalist, image of the artist's famous face peering tentatively out from under the wild hair of his instantly recognizable fright wig is one of the great self-portrait images of the 20th century. A comparatively rare self-exposure, the painting is a typically seamless fusion of painting and photography within one instantly unforgettable image. This is a timeless portrait of a visibly aging master confronting the inevitability of his own imminent disappearance from the light of existence in death. The Silver Car Crash. The silver car crash double disaster depicts a body twisted in the mangled interior of a silver car. It was painted by Andy Warhol at the age of 35. This is the last serigraph of the artist that was left in private hands. The serigraph is 8 by 13 feet in dimensions, and it was displayed only once in public during the last 26 years. This painting was part of his Death and Disaster series. In November 2013, it sold for $105 million at a New York City auction, setting a new highest price for a work by Warhol. The painting Joseph Boyce by Andy Warhol is one of the few works that the artist decorated with a fine layer of diamond dust. It is in stable, original condition. However, the entire black background was covered with dust, which muted the deep black surface and dulled the overall contrast. Many of the dust fibers stuck to the surface, while others were entangled with the particles of diamond dust. Somewhat surprisingly, the synthetic black paint is still soft and a bit sticky almost 40 years after the initial drying process. Warhol may have used an additive that prevented the acrylic paint from hardening completely. Arnold Schwarzenegger. This print was created in 1977 of Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is a Polaroid picture. Warhol did lots of other Polaroid pictures during this time for other celebrities as well. And here is my works cited page. Thank you for listening.